All right, Mr. Chair, if you'd like to start.
Good morning, everyone. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Before I continue with my remarks, I'll just take a few moments to make some introductions. Firstly, our panel on my far left is Ms. Natalia Popovic. On my immediate left is Ms. Laura Alderson. On my immediate right, Ms. Sophia Ruddock. And on my far right, Mr. Bill Dalton. At the far left end of this desk is our Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Ms. Barb Bartosik. And in front of us is Barbara's support staff. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge that the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called upon to speak. Those participants will be temporarily this time, your visible during your video will be participants will share present deadline. WebEx are not allowed controls during the host fail to respect this instruction. People who want to receive a copy of an application decision request card participating virtually need to submit a written request for decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in circumstances to the Land Tribunal. The provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal committee decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee. Our hearing procedure today is that I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda, with the exception of instances where the applicant has requested deferral, and we'll put those items up to the front and dispense with them. Making submissions. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Before we hear our first item today, we require confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting, which I believe was held on June 26th. Could I have a motion to adopt those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to adopt those minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic, and a seconder. Maybe I was the only one that attended, so I will second those minutes. All in favor? Okay, the minutes of the meeting held June 26th are. I would ask firstly of panel, are there any declarations of interest for any items in this morning's time slot?
Yes, I have a conflict with item number 4, as I am working on several applications in that area, and that I not adjudicate on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. And I declare an interest in item number 60. I know the immediate who has also requested to participate today. So person will be taking the chair for that item. Thank you very much. Staff, ask the same question. Are there any declarations of interest from any of the staff?
Mr. Chair, I've got a conflict with item 10, 9 Elm Court. My wife has a personal and professional relationship with the owner.
Okay, thank you. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have any requests for deferral on this morning's agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the first one is item 2. Then we have 6, and 14 is from planning.
Okay, I suggest we leave 14 to come up on in the regular schedule. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so 2 and 6 for the morning.
2 and 6, okay, thank you. We'll be dealing with those momentarily. And finally, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files to be closed on this morning's agenda? Thank you. Okay then, so we will firstly address or deal with the items where the applicant has requested deferral. And the first in that category is item number 2, 1111 Arrow Road. And the agent is Francesco Fiorani. Is Mr. Fiorani, I don't know if he's here or virtually.
Hello?
You there? Okay, Mr. Fiorani?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Barely. Could you please explain why you wish this item to be deferred today?
Testing.
That's better.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning to all. The reason for the request deferral is so that we have the opportunity to undertake a zoning certificate as discussed with planning staff so that we can determine the correct number and type of variances.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Fiorani? No? And Adam, is there anyone in the room or at home that wishes to speak to this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
No, okay, thank you. Okay, then I guess we can move into committee for a decision then.
Mr. Chair, I move to defer this matter to allow the applicant to have further discussions with planning and sort out the variances.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Seconder for that, Ms. Ruddick, thank you. All in favor? Okay, that item is deferred unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item for deferral is number 625 West Head Road. The agent is Trevor Gain, who is here. Thank you. So, Mr. Gain, could you please explain why you request deferral?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We're here just to continue discussions with Forestry and Toronto Housing. We're just dealing with them. Their original request came in from Forestry to continue discussions on the impact on some trees. And on top of that, just recently, Toronto Housing kind of weighed in. There's a tenant in the house that needs to be evicted, so we're just working with negotiations with Toronto Housing to make sure all the protocols are followed.
Okay, and I didn't see any information from Toronto Housing on in our information, but anyway, you know, so.
Yeah, it was brought up by the counselor, and we've been discussing with him, so we're fine.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Mr. Gain?
Mr. Chair, there are a number of area residents that do want to speak to this.
Okay. So can we, oh yeah, I got a long list here.
Yeah, a couple in person, including one that's not on your list, an in person, and then 1, 2, 3,
Two virtuals,
3 virtuals,
three virtuals, yeah.
and then 2
Okay.
more.
So I guess we'll start then with Renee Cadya.
Perfect.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Renee Cadu. I'm speaking today in regards to the...
And sorry, your address,
Oh,
please?
sorry?
Your address?
Oh, sorry, 25 West Head Road?
Oh, you live in the.
Exactly, yeah. I am a
And
tenant at
Mr.
25
Chair,
West Head.
and Renee, sorry, just as a reminder, it is just about the deferral at this time.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Is there anything that...
The matter under our consideration right now is whether or not to defer the application to a future hearing date. We're not going to consider the merits of this application today.
Okay,
So my question to you, I guess, is simply, are you in agreement with a deferral, recognizing that it will come back here at some point for a decision once the applicant is ready to proceed?
yes, I'm agreeing with the
So
deferral.
you're okay with a deferral?
Yep,
Okay, that's all I need to know today.
perfect.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
And we also have another person that's not on your list, Mr. Chair, that's present. It's Valerie. Thank you.
Hi there. Yes, I'm Valerie Tariki, and I live at 17 Chelsea Drive, just behind the property. And I'm, yes, in agreement with the deferral.
Okay, great, thank you very
Thank
much.
So we'll go to the virtuals. We'll start with Eric. Now, we didn't voice check Eric. He signed in late. So Eric, go ahead.
I'm agreeing with the deferral.
Thank you. Okay, next is Gina.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. I agree with the deferral as well.
Thank you, Ms. Vivian.
And the last is Jackie.
Hi there. I agree with the deferral as well.
Okay, great. So it will be coming back here at a date to be determined, and notice will be given in advance. So everybody will have another opportunity to come and speak to the guy. So, panel, any questions of any, I'm sorry, I should have asked you after every speaker, but anyway, no questions? Okay, then let's go into committee, make a decision on this deferral request.
Mr. Chair, I will move to defer this matter as well to allow all parties to continue discussions.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? Okay, the item's deferred.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gain, and thank you to the neighbors for your participation as well.
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to ask for a pause while we check. We've been advised by one of our participants that they can't hear us on YouTube. So I'm just going to ask someone in the office if they can verify that.
Barb, I got an email follow-up from that person who said it couldn't hear us. They can hear us. Yeah. So we're good.
We're okay? Good.
Do we want to do the one deferral requested by planning? No, okay.
So we'll go back to the beginning and start at item 1. 51 Avening Drive. I'll just do a quick summary here. The purpose of the application is to construct a one-story front and north side addition that will include an attached garage, a one-story rear addition, and a deck in the rear yard. There are 8 variances. We have a community planning condition and a Metrolinx advisory. Does anyone on the panel require a presentation on this one? Seems to be pretty straightforward. Ms. Reddick, are you okay to proceed? Yeah, okay. So maybe we can just have a chat with Raj Patel, the agent. Mr. Patel?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Raj Patel. The address is 6448 Finch Avenue West, Unit 191. And I'm representing the subject proposal at 51 Avenue Drive.
Okay. And before you proceed, the panel finds your application to be quite straightforward. Would you be okay with foregoing a presentation and perhaps being available to answer any questions if we have any?
Yes.
You're okay with that approach?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you. So, panel, any comments, or are we ready to consider a decision?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
It's about the Metrolinx advisory. It's a little different from one that we're usually used to seeing. It's the Finch West LRT Metrolinx advisory. So I'm just wondering if the applicant has seen that advisory.
Yes, we have.
Okay. And you're okay with the community planning condition?
Yes.
You are. If there aren't any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go.
I find this application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act and move for approval subject to community planning's condition.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. Is there a seconder for Ms. Alderson's motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Mr. Chair, maybe we hold a moment while we reconnect Sophia. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
We're good? Okay, moving on to item number 3, 671 Browns Line. The purpose is to construct a 2-story north side addition and a 2nd-story addition above the existing detached garage in the rear yard. The existing garage will be maintained on the ground floor, and the proposed 2nd floor will occupy a garden suite. There are 3 variances. We have no comments or conditions from agencies. We do have a letter of opposition from 488 Valermo, and as well, we just received the other day a support letter. Charles Chan Y is the agent. Mr. Y?
Good morning, Chairman and panel members. My name is Charles Chan Y, and I'm at 20 Smithwood Drive in Etobicoke.
Okay, I think in light of the opposition letter here, a presentation would be in order.
Okay, no problem. So with the property on 671 Browns Line, our proposal is to convert and do the additions as you mentioned as part of the proposal. We are keeping the garage as is, so we're not going to be parking anywhere on street or anything like that. The the variances that we do have are we're maintaining the same variances when we're adding that second floor on top. We're not making the variance like the setbacks any worse than what it is at the moment. So we're matching the existing garage setbacks. The distances between the building and the main house, we're also keeping the same distances. So we're not making the footprint of inch like we're not closer to the setback of what the garage is already is, and we're not getting closer to the existing house. With the neighbor at 488 Valermo, she sent an email on the 27th of June, and I've sent her one back. And Annalisa mentioned that she's not allowed to upload that letter, but I didn't get anything back from the neighbor with any concerns, so I did try to reach out to her. But the letter really concerns was that, that the second story is going to look like with her privacy looking into her backyard, but between our proposal and of the property to hers, we're about 20 meters, which is about 65'6". And if you look through some of the supporting documents that I emailed and it was uploaded, if you scroll through it, you could see some of the properties at 663 that there is windows on their existing house. Ours have windows on ours, but on the main dwelling. But the second floor that we're proposing has no windows on the second floor. The windows that are on the garage as of now, they're high windows, so her privacy will be kept. And beside it, all of those properties and ours back into the church's driveway and parking lot. So it's a little bit hard not to see her property when you're in those near vicinities. And the owners did get letters of support from the immediate neighbors. So what are the numbers?
Okay, thank you.
667, and 681.
Okay, you finished?
Yes, yes.
Okay, panel, any questions or comments for Mr. Y?
If no one has any questions, I'm prepared to go ahead and make a motion. I'm satisfied this meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm happy to see the form letters of support, 3 form letters of support, which offsets the 1 letter of opposition. And I move for approval with no conditions. Looks like no conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. All in favor? Approved unanimously. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to bring to your attention the area resident listed on item number 4 is not present.
The agent.
Area resident.
So we can go ahead with the application. Resident.
Oh, it's the resident that's not here. Okay, so we can proceed. Thank you. And Mr. Dalton has left the room as he has a conflict. Item 4 is 131 McCormick Street. Just do a quick summary. Purpose is to legalize and to maintain the existing entertainment place of assembly. 1 variance. We have clearances from Ravine and Natural Features, TRCA, who notes that a permit from it is required. And we have a planning condition for a 2-year time limit. And we have also received a cover letter which asks for a 3-year time limit to coincide with a lease extension opportunity of that duration. If we agree with the community planning's comment that a rezoning is ultimately required.
Well, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, their original recommendation is to refuse. They're only suggesting that the 2-year period be should you approve the application. And then we also have a late comment from the counselor, which we can share, that she's requesting that it be refused.
So the counselor is strongly opposed.
Yes, she's saying that the venue's inappropriate, unacceptable disruption to the community. It's been operating for several years without the necessary business or liquor license. She's received, or her office has received, repeated complaints regarding music, illegally parked vehicles, loitering, overnight occupancy of the park, public intoxication, littering, empty alcohol, and then that there have been confirmed police reports with the 12th Division of the Police Service regarding this.
And that was a late submission?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the agent before us, David Tang. David, if you could just repeat your name and give us your address and then make your pitch to us.
Good. Good morning. My name is David Tang. I'm the solicitor for the applicant. My address is 40 King Street West, Suite 6600. And that is obviously in all of the materials. We've reviewed the comments, obviously, as you, Mr. Chair, have indicated in terms of the comments from staff. My client obviously is prepared at this time, as my correspondence indicates, to accept a condition time limiting the variance. As you noted, there is a request that it be modified from 2 years to 3 years to coincide with the lease possibilities for my client. I am also, because I did manage to actually very last minute see the letter from Councillor Nunziata, address some of those issues, and perhaps what I should do that is I should address them when I cover them off in terms of the fourth test of whether the variance is minor. But obviously,
sorry, sir, just before you do that, could you clarify, at least for me, your position on the 2-year versus the 3-year time limit?
My client would ask for it to be 3 years. It would grudgingly say that 2 years is better than no variance, obviously. But given the fact that we are talking about the time to process an application, and I'll explain to you why it's appropriate to do a 3-year in any event. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's our position. Obviously, the official plan has been amended here. There's a site-specific official plan that came into force to redesignate the lands mixed use. So that is the intended purpose for these lands. We're meeting the first test in terms of conformity with the official plan. The general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw we would submit is very much met here. When you look at the zoning bylaws that deal with entertainment places of assembly, they impose basically a 6.1 meter setback from residential or other sensitive uses. And in this case, we are significantly beyond that to any of the houses that are to the north. Very much so. Across the street in South, obviously, is already 20-something odd meters. I think it's somewhere in the range of about 85 or 90 meters to the closest residence from this property. So the general intent of the zoning bylaw is, in my submission, met. It's an appropriate use for the development. It utilizes this building as it transitions to the new mixed-use designations to begin to do this at this time. And really the issue I think you're tasked with considering is whether or not this is minor. The submissions from, the late submissions from Councillor Nunziata certainly allege that there are impacts. And what my client would say about that is, this has been running for 3 years. There were indeed some early teething pains when they began to operate. And what they've done is they've taken significant steps that I am prepared to suggest could very well indeed be conditions that you might impose. And unfortunately, due to the late filing of Councillor Nunziata's letter, I haven't had a chance to submit those. I do have them if the committee is prepared to receive those. There's a noise protocol, which I can take you through, that has been implemented and is working. They have installed acoustic barriers on both the interior of the walls and on the fencing and gating on the exterior of the walls. We have specifications for that. They have actually required all operators or hosts of the events to have a professional sound engineer. They have people who are measuring hourly during these events the amounts, the sound levels, both inside and outside, and attempting to, and have instructed them to meet a 65 dBA level outside with an appropriate measure. And as a result, the impacts have been significantly reduced from the initial teething stages. We are prepared to accept those as conditions, the continued establishment of those protocols, including the monitoring requirements, et cetera. They've also taken steps to ensure that parking and traffic are well cared for, including very significant upfront discussions with their clients about how that is carried out, and that I could provide to you if the committee is prepared to accept those. Once again, that could constitute an appropriate condition if that is what the committee believes is necessary here to ensure that the variance is in fact minor. The reality is, in the 2 or 3 year interim period when the application is being heard, we are confident that with those already implemented protocols, all of those complaints that were initially registered will go away, and there is an opportunity for planning staff to consider that in terms of the rezoning application that comes forward as to whether or not those protocols will indeed result in an appropriate relationship with the residences to the significant north. So my submission is all 4 tests have been met. The minor
I think you're
impacts
over time now.
Okay.
Sir. Yeah.
All right, I'll end it with that then.
Okay. So panel, any questions or comments for Mr. Tang?
Yes, I have a question. There are allegations that there is alcohol being consumed on site, and I assume that you do not have a liquor license.
So that allegation is incorrect, by the way. There is alcohol being consumed on site. It is, however, only in those circumstances where a special occasion permit has been obtained. So there have been absolutely no infractions under the Liquor Licensing and Control Act, no charges. It is all completely legal in terms of alcohol consumption.
Thank you.
How many special events would you have in a typical year for which you would apply for a liquor permit?
Currently approximately 30 to 45. It has varied over the years, somewhere in that range.
So it's happening fairly frequently?
It's happening reasonably frequently, yeah.
Like once a week?
30 times a year is, no, that's once every 2 weeks approximately, I would say, in that sort of range.
Yeah, so almost every weekend, really. And in the summertime, probably every weekend.
That's probably accurate, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Reddick, Ms. Popovich?
I do have a question, Mr. Agent. Other than the letter from the counselor, has your client had any communications with neighbors? I appreciate your comment that there's some distance away, but any communications with any surrounding?
My understanding is that he has spoken to his immediate neighbors. They are all fine, and there's nobody here. We only have the one letter from the counselor.
Thank you.
Adam, we do have another speaker on the list, correct?
There is another speaker on the list, but they are
Khalil.
not on virtual. And I don't have him listed as being in the chambers. But if there is anyone here who wants to speak to this file,
So one other question. So this property is almost directly across from a middle school, a junior middle school. But I'm assuming there's no conflict there because the hours of operation would not impact that middle school unless that middle school was having some sort of a recital or something.
That's right. And not only is there no conflict in terms of timing, generally speaking, my client has taken actually very significant steps to ensure that, for example, the facilities of the middle school are not utilized for these operations. He has, once again, after the initial period, he's gone out and he's purchased, I think, 30 pylons. He actually has personnel whose job it is before each of the events to ensure that the accesses to the middle school are pyloned off and monitored. That's the sort of traffic and care he's been taking in terms of ensuring that none of that stuff is occurring. And in fact, he has also agreed to and has contracted with people to clean up the entire neighborhood, including the park and the school, if there are any impacts. So he has been very, very diligent in terms of being a good neighbor in this location.
Anything else, panel?
One more.
Yep.
And I promise this is it. You are serving alcohol, so there is a need for washroom facilities. What are the washroom facilities like at this building?
I'm sure he has them. I can't. Mr. Hale, could you maybe explain what the washroom facilities are like?
I don't know if that's permitted, but.
Hi.
Do you introduce yourself?
My name is Andrew Hale. I live at 513A Annette Street. And I'm addressing...
What's your affiliation with this project?
I am the operator, director of operations for the facility.
So you're going to answer this question?
Yes, yeah. So we have 15 unisex stalls, accessible. We have 2 accessible stalls on the end of either block. So it is accessible washrooms as well as 15 unisex in the ground level.
Thank you. That sounds like it's probably sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Adam, we have Khalil Awal.
no, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Thank you. So I think we can now go into committee for potentially some discussion and ultimately a motion. This is for public consumption, so.
I would have been inclined to probably give this a 2-year approval had I not heard the counselor's letter, which we just heard now. So I do have some concerns. That being said, I hate shutting down anything like this that adds to the vibrancy of a neighborhood and, is a proponent of the arts. So I'm really quite torn on this application. In any event, I might be willing to make a motion for a 2-year, but not a 3. But I haven't made that motion yet.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts, Ms. Popovic?
I was concerned by reading the counselor's letter. I do note that community planning's first position is a refusal, but they do have a condition, so I'm still on the fence along with my colleague.
And Ms. Ruddock.
I'm not on the fence. I'm prepared to make a motion for a 2-year approval as per the option presented by the planning committee. I'm convinced that by the submissions of the applicant that it meets the 4 tests.
So can we treat that as a motion, or do you want to?
You can treat that as a motion.
Treat that as a motion?
Can I, before we
Go ahead.
move on, can we add any of the conditions that were discussed?
You can. I inquire about the enforceability of them. If they are enforceable, I'm amenable to that.
So the conditions, the way they were worded, are not enforceable, but other conditions we've seen, for example, for outdoor patios, where there's no amplified music outdoors, something like that, or limit the hours of operation. Because then it's up to any complaints to go to municipal licensing and standards, but other type of enforcement, the way it was suggested, or the wording suggested by the applicant, there's no way to enforce those.
I'm prepared to second that motion, but I just want to make note that since the owner-operator is here, that, that they take every precaution, mitigation to allay the fears of the community and the counselor, and just to be very mindful of that. But I am prepared to second that motion.
Okay, just before I call a vote, did you say that your client is going to pursue a rezoning?
That's the purpose of the 2-year.
So their desire is to maintain this long-term?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I would support my colleague's comments. We have a motion that's been seconded, so call the vote. All in favor? That's approved unanimously for a 2-year term.
Thank you very much.
And good luck with it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5, 49 Wilgar Road. Just pull this up, do a quick summary. Purpose is to legalize, oh no, that's the wrong one. Purpose is to construct a 2-story rear addition and a new rear deck. There's one variance. No agency comments, no neighbor comments. I would suggest we treat this as straightforward, unless anybody wishes a presentation. The agent is William Bill Hall. Mr. Hall.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is William Hall, Bill Hall, architect, design architect, 12 Mill Cove here in Etobicoke.
Okay, would you, I don't know if you're listening, but would you be agreeable to foregoing a presentation? The panel finds your application to be quite clear and straightforward, and potentially be prepared to answer any questions if we have any.
I am ready to answer any questions.
Okay, let's do that then. So panel, any questions? And Adam, I don't believe we have anyone online or in the room.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So let's go into committee then and make a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair. The matter appears to meet the 4 tests. It is relatively concise, and I move to approve, and I have no conditions. I see no conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Seconder?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? That's approved unanimously.
Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, sir. Item 6 has been deferred. Item 7, 24, 26, 28, and 30 Arrow Road, item 7. Purpose is to construct a two-story south side addition.
Mr. Chair, I don't
Yes.
mean to interrupt, but I think Nick was virtual, and if he was, I don't have him on my list anymore. There is no Nick in the chambers, right? No. Mr. Chair, he was virtual, and I've lost him on the call, so I will reach out to him right now and try and reconnect.
Do you want to just, we'll
Put at the end.
give you a few seconds now, and then if
No, I gotta send an email and
Okay,
stuff.
we'll
Yeah,
move
just
on.
Put at the end, yeah.
You let me know when he's ready. So we'll move on then to item 8, 141 Renault Crescent. This is a revised application. Purpose is to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, a two-story west side addition, an attached garage at the front, and a new covered deck in the rear yard. This will be considered a new building. There are 2 variances. One for coverage, one for floor space index. We have Urban Forestry has requested condition 2. We have no other agency comments. We have no one, Adam, in the room or online to speak to this one.
Correct, Mr. Chair, just the agent.
Okay. Panel, does anyone require a presentation on this application? Okay, then let's talk to Mr. Stoyanovsky, the agent.
Good morning, Chairman Committee. My name is Orest Stanovsky. I'm an agent on this application.
Could you do a sound check at your end? And I'm having trouble picking up what you're saying.
Can you hear me any better now?
Just talk nice and loud there, Oris, thank you.
Sure. That's Orest Stanovsky. I'm an agent on this application. It's a pretty small, straightforward application. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer.
So you'd be agreeable to not presenting to us and answering any questions if we have any?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. So any questions, comments? Let's go into committee then and make a decision.
Okay, so with that, I'll move a motion for approval as I believe the application meets the 4 tests subject to the forestry condition number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder?
I will say.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Stoyanovsky. Can now move on to item 9, 7 Winsdale Road. I'll just do a quick summary before you introduce yourself, ma'am.
Yep.
Purpose is to construct a 2-story front addition, a second-story addition above the existing detached dwelling, and a deck in the rear yard. There are 3 variances. We have 2 letters of opposition, no comments from agencies. I presume you're Elena Savick?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I think in light of the, well, we have a number of registered speakers and 2 letters of opposition, so I think a presentation would be helpful.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
So good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Elena Savick. I'm the owner at 7 Winsdale. Our application has 3 variances. I'll begin with the floor space index. The permitted maximum floor space index is 0.45 times the area of the lot. Our proposed floor space index is 0.54 times the lot, so just a 0.09 FSI increase. The justification for the variance, the slight increase is required to support modern and functional family living, and similar variances and similar sizes of homes are previously existing and approved in the neighborhood. I'll move on to the minimum front yard setback variance that we have. So the minimum front yard setback is 11.02 meters. The proposed setback of the second-story addition is 9.33 meters. The justification for the variance, the existing dwelling is setback 8.03 meters from the property line, so the second-story addition is actually further back than the existing building. And it still maintains the general street wall pattern in this area. Many homes on the street have varying setbacks, creating a natural rhythm in the streetscape. So our belief is that this variance is minor. The reduction is only 1.69 meters from the allowable setback. I'll move on to the width of the exterior stairs. So these are the rear patio stairs. The variance here is that the exterior stairs providing pedestrian access to a building or a structure may encroach into a required building setback. If the stairs are no wider than 2 meters, the proposed rear deck stairs are 4.3 meters. So they've been designed to align with the width of the sliding door to access the backyard. Additionally, the proposed stairs are set back further from the property line than the existing deck and stairs on the property. And the stairs are located where previously built rear addition is set to be removed. So they're not bringing the building any closer to the back of the property. I would also like to acknowledge the letters that we've received from the neighbors. We received 2 of them that I was able to see online. The neighbor to our rear at 72 Toledo Road has a concern regarding the removal of the high cedar hedge located at the property line. We're not proposing to remove those because we also want to maintain the privacy. Our neighbor to the west at 5 Winsdale Road has a concern with the side view from the kitchen window being obstructed. However, the setback from the front property line adjacent to this property complies with the zoning bylaw of 11.02 meters. It's 11.08 meters from our property line. It also complies with the side yard setback of 1.2 meters, which is, we're proposing 1.36 meters from the adjacent property. And it's in line with the street wall pattern.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions before, or for Ms. Savick before we proceed? No, we're good? Okay, so we have, according to my records, 2 in-person participants.
Correct. There's actually a third in person that may speak, but they're not on your list.
Are they listed here?
No.
Oh, somebody else. And then 2 virtual participants as well.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess the first person we invite to speak, who is presumably here, is Brian Sobey.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brian Sobey, 5 Winsdale Road. So we're the adjacent neighbor to the filing. And we have also, again, one of the submissions was from my wife. But again, the variance does impede the access windows from our kitchen without seeing the actual height restrictions of the building. We only see the easement on the plan. So the belief is, without seeing the building itself, that the windows will actually be blocked, even though the variance does comply. The actual reality is the building will impose upon those 2 kitchen windows. So that is the principal issue for the intervention. The other concern we have is, and again, without the variance, is the municipal bylaws being enforced for noise, when the hours of work would be enacted, and issues related to parking. There are numerous children on the street, and without knowing how long this construction work would actually take, that's going to be a huge impediment on the street itself and affecting us as the adjacent neighbor.
Okay. I'll just offer this, that construction-related issues are part of the building permit process in terms of hours of activity and lots of other things. So there is a process included in building projects that address those issues. But we'll leave some commentary from Ms. Savick on your other assertions.
And it is it is the assurance that the bylaws will be enforced. Again, we do not have precedent in the neighborhood other than one modification that was done in 1991 to a building across the street from us. So the precedent in the neighborhood is we have not seen this type of construction work ever happening. And again, for some of the other, typical renovation work, sidings, driveways, that sort of thing, where the street is, Winsdale Road, it does have an issue with access and parking, and again, the concern for the children on the street.
Mm-hmm. Panel, any questions for Mr. Sobey?
No, I was just going to say, with regards to noise, the city has a noise bylaw.
Yes.
Their construction company will have to adhere to, and if they don't adhere to it, that's all you have to do is call 311.
Right. Okay.
And then you can report it.
I appreciate that. But again, just for the record, wanted to make sure that that was
Fair enough.
acknowledged.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, panel? Okay, thanks, Mr. Sobey. If you
Thank
could
you.
just take your seat for a few minutes. And the next in-person participant is Ivan Miller.
We have a switch. Technically, it's going to be Diane. Oh, they don't want to speak now at all. It was actually a switch up for you. It does say Ivan on yours. It is Diane, and she's just said no.
Okay.
Perfect.
So you mentioned a third in-person participant?
Yes. Andrew Smith.
Morning, sir. Please.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Give us your name and address, please, and then.
Sure. Andrew Smith, 8 Winsdale Road. We're directly across from the property. The one thing I'd just like to note is that with everything going on the street, this is, as Brian mentioned, it's never been done since 1991. And I feel that potentially we really need to look at what will be done. I know that there's bylaws about noise and whatnot, but there's several children on the street, and I just wanted that to be recognized. So far, with what has been done for the building, it has actually torn up our lawn, and nothing has been fixed as of yet. So I just wanted to call that out in anything that you're considering. That was it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. And we have two virtual participants. Firstly, Laura Shanahan.
Laura, go ahead. Oh, Mr. Chair, I just got an email actually came in. Laura has no more objection now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we can move down to Greg Fabi.
Good. Go ahead, Greg.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Greg Fabi. I live at 11 Winsdale Road, 2 houses away from the proposed construction. I concur with my neighbors' arguments previously. I want to add a few things. We experienced a similar renovation behind us on Grass Point Drive over the last 2 years, and it was very disruptive. And I know your people there just mentioned talking to the bylaw officer, but this gentleman was very, very, he stretched the limits of noise, and he would be doing a lot of construction in the evening. So that's one thing. Secondly, regarding the new construction of the proposed second story or the new home, and I think they mentioned it was going to be a stucco dwelling. The entire street is a traditional brick built in the 60s, and I know this is not like a condo corporation where there's restrictive covenants, but I'd like to see the original brick retained if possible, because it is a very attractive. That's what makes the Markland Wood neighborhood very attractive, is that traditional brick construction. I don't think putting up a stucco monstrosity in the middle of a bunch of small to medium sized bungalow or is the right taste for new construction. but I don't know if that's your call. And then also just the children. I have three young boys and a dog, and so far the trucks that have shown up have shown that they'll just park anywhere in front of the driveways or on the curb and leave their trucks there for a long time. So I'm not crazy about that disruption on the street.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'll just say, firstly, as I said before to Mr. Sobey, the building permit process includes all the rules around construction. Construction is never quiet, it's never clean, it is disruptive, but construction has to occur. And all safeguards will be put in place to ensure that those disruptions are minimized to the greatest extent possible. And you did ask if we did have a mandate on the design of houses or building materials, and the answer is no, we do not. So,
Could I add something, though? I'm looking at the front elevation right now, and it looks like they are using brick on the facade, on the front. So maybe that's something that the applicant can respond to.
We'll also have it up on the screen in a moment.
okay, is there any other questions or comments before I invite Ms. Savick back? Ms. Savick, have you come and rebut what you've heard from your neighbors?
Sure. Well, I sympathize with the neighbors and the noise complaints that are being foreseen. We've been in the neighborhood for a long time and have had to live through some of our neighbors doing the same. And we also have two small children of our own. So I completely understand those concerns. We plan to follow all the bylaws in terms of noise and timing of construction. In terms of, I don't think anything was related to our variances directly, so I'll leave that there. And then in terms of the look of the home, we don't want to stand out too much from the neighborhood, but we also want to maintain a modern look and feel for a new home that's being built. So there is a proposal for a combination of stucco, siding, and brick for the exterior look of the home.
Okay. Panel, questions, comments? Okay, I guess we can go into, you can take your seat now, thank you, Ms. Savick, and we can go into committee for discussion if necessary, or a motion.
So with that, I'd like to move a motion for approval. I believe the application meets the 4 tests and there are no conditions.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton and Ms. Alderson, all in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Savick, and thank you to the neighbor participants as well. Moving on
Chair. Oh, sorry to interrupt. We do have the agent for 7.
7.
Unless you want to just leave until the end.
No, we'll do them now.
Perfect, thank you. I'll do a quick mic check with them. Microphone check for Nick. Nick, go ahead.
Hear me now?
Yep, perfect, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Maybe a quick introduction of the item from you first, Mr. Chair. You introduce the item first, please.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Item 7, 24, 26, 28, 30 Arrow Road. Purpose is to construct a 2-story south side addition. 2 variances. We have a Ministry of Transportation advisory advising that this location is within their permit control area. We have no agency comments beyond that, and we have no comments from neighbors, and I don't believe there's anyone in the room or online, Adam, to speak to this item.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
The panel, may I presume that we treat this as straightforward, not requiring a presentation? Well, we're good with that? Okay, Mr. Dijak?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. We have no concerns with that. It's a pretty straightforward application. I agree. We are going
Sir,
through
did you give your address?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Nick Dijak. I'm the planning consultant, working with the developer and the owner. I'm from SBM. It's 1599 Adelaide Street, North London. I just wanted to reiterate that we're okay with moving forward with the application. We're going through the site plan application right now. These were the deficiencies that were addressed, and we feel that they're minor and appropriate for this type of development. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions, comments? Yep, question?
I do have a question. The second variance notes the vehicular parking reduction from 108 to 43 spaces, but both the PJR and the transportation plan note 95 versus the 108. So which is it?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. The application has been increased since the site plan initial submission. So the greater number would be accurate. The proposed parking space is still number 43. So they were adding some floor space to a mezzanine area, some additional storage space. So the intent of the application is the existing operation is there and they're expanding the building, so it would be mostly warehouse. The operator and the traffic consultant have done a parking study that did address that there's a bit of surplus. There's no foreseeable deficiency in parking. They are quite thin in terms of employees, so there's no concern for the number of parking spaces. They are just increasing the coverage and the floor area, so that number did change to that site plan approval process.
So to reconfirm then, what is it, 108 or 95? Because I'm still not clear.
And to be honest, that number keeps on changing, but I would say the greater it would be accurate as of today.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
But 43 parking spaces are proposed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, could we alter the minimum parking space number as part of our decision on this? Or is that necessary? I think the important thing is how many are proposed.
Well, the difference can't be greater. So what was the minimum required?
The
It wasn't the
minimum
minimum, it was
requires,
just the
apparently
PJR.
it's
and the
95, not
transportation
108.
report. They were saying that 95 was required, but the notice is saying 108. It's not a notice issue. It's just I was just asking if it's 108 or the 95. An inquiring mind wanted to know.
Well, that's what they've submitted on their waiver. So I would.
Which, the 108?
Yes.
Okay. Then the supporting study said 95 though. So that's why I was asking, where did the 108 come versus the 95?
And since they didn't apply for a zoning review, which we always recommend.
No.
If they change it now and it turns out the study's wrong, then they'd have to reapply.
Then they'll have to come back.
So I'd suggest
So keep it
leaving
high.
it the same.
No. Okay, got it.
Okay, any other comments, questions before we go into committee? Okay, then let's go into committee and make a motion.
So with that, I'd move a motion for approval as I believe the application meets the 4 tests and there are no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder?
I will second that.
Ms. Popovic, all in favor? That's approved unanimously. Now I'd like to call a short break, and we will resume at 11 a.m.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. Thank
That's
you.
about 18 minutes.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
So we will be taking a short recess, and we'll be returning at 11 a.m.
And that'll be item 10 when we return.
just waiting for my text from the counselor.
All right, Mr. Chair, it is 11 o'clock. Look to start up, get everyone's cameras going, and we'll start.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for allowing us to take a short break. We'll continue with the agenda now. Item 10, 9 Elmview Court. Purpose is to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling and a new two-story rear addition. There is one variance for a front yard setback variance. We have a Metrolinx advisory, 5 support letters, and no other comments from agencies. The agent owner is Kathleen Burrows.
Mr. Chair, can you get your camera on there? Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Kathleen Burrows and I reside at 9 Elmview Court. Just wanted to first address, there should have been a total of 10 support letters, not 5, just to clarify. We're here due to a minor variance. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Having said that, all the documents that have been provided show the elevations and the changes and why the variance is there. Our initial home was a 1.5 story and we were just looking to complete a full second story. That meant that since the house had not been altered since its original construction, the variance already existed. So we were kind of surprised to see that, given we're leaving the main floor frontage as it is and just going straight up on the second floor.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing? Sorry. The street is also a court. There are 9 properties on that street. I believe 5 of which are irregular pie lots, including ours. So while making the calculations of the variance, it seems that either way we would have been caught in that variance, as it is not a standard rectangular lot. And so we're on the curve, we're on an irregular pie, and so are the neighboring properties as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Panel, questions, comments for Ms. Burrows?
No.
Nope.
And if no one has any, I'm prepared to make a
I
motion.
don't think there's no one in the room to speak to this item or at home.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Alderson.
And we have no comments from any city agencies at all.
No, we do
We
not.
have 8 or 9 form letters of support?
10.
10. I've got 8 here, so I must have missed the count. Okay, 2 in the additional materials. Okay, so I'm satisfied that this application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move for approval with no conditions.
I'll second
Good,
that.
thank you. Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Burrows.
Thank you so much for your time.
Enjoy your new home.
Thank you.
And thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
I know we took a break.
I figured it would be my luck. Thank you.
There you go. Okay, moving on to item 11, 46 Bywood Drive. Purpose is to I guess that means to maintain the existing 2-story rear addition. A previous committee of, I think that means adjustment application, approved a variance for floor space index. 2 variances. Urban forestry condition 2. No other agency comments. No comments from neighbors. Is there anyone in the room or at home that came to speak to this item?
Just the agent, Mr. Chair.
Just the agent, okay. Panel, are we okay with skipping over a presentation? Okay, Saruj Kalustian, agent.
Chair and committee members, I'm here.
Could you turn your volume up, stand closer to the mic, do something to help me hear you?
Can you hear me better?
Little. I probably don't need to hear a lot from you anyway. We're going to suggest that we don't need a presentation from you. And if you're okay with that, and just be prepared to answer any questions if we have any.
Yes, that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you. So panel, any questions, comments? Nope. Then let's go into committee and consider a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will bring a motion for approval in this matter. I believe it meets the 4 tests. I believe that the materials are in order. I believe there is an urban forestry condition. Number 2, that is applicable, and those are the only conditions that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for Ms. Popovic? Thank you, Ms. Ruddock. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Kalustian. Moving on to item 12, 22 Kinkara Drive. This is a revised application. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 5 variances. We have urban forestry conditions 1 and 2, a Metro Links advisory, no other agency comments, no comments from neighbors. I don't believe there's anyone in the room to speak to this. No one at home.
Correct, Mr. Chair, just the agent.
Okay. Again, are we agreeable, panel, to treating this as not requiring a presentation? Okay, well, let's get Mr. Dome's permission to proceed that way then. Mr. Dome?
Yes, Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner. Yeah, I believe you have the amended variances on the screen right now.
Yeah. Are you agreeable to avoid not doing a presentation and answering any questions? We find this application to be quite straightforward.
Yeah, I do have a short presentation, but I do agree to that.
You're okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So panel, questions, comments? Seeing none, let's go into committee for a motion.
So with that, I'll move a motion for the application as amended, as I believe it does meet the 4 tests, subject to the forestry conditions of July 3rd and being conditions number 1 and 2, I hope.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's
I'll
motion?
second that.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Dome. Moving on to item 13. 398 Lake Promenade. Just bear with me for a moment. I'll read a quick summary here. Purpose is to legalize and maintain the existing front balcony. 1 variance. 3 support letters. I'm going to ask the panel if it needs a presentation. This looks pretty simple and straightforward. No presentation? Mr. Gottslich?
Yes, sir.
Would you be okay with not presenting to us? I think it's quite clear what your desire is here. Just be available if we have a question or two.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. Panel. Somebody asked Mr. Gottslich a question. He's come a long way. How are you today?
Wonderful, and thank you for your time.
Okay, you may take your seat.
Okay.
Let's go into committee for a decision.
So with that, I do believe the application is minor and meets the 4 tests, and there are no conditions. So I'll move a motion in that regard.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Seconder?
I'll second that
Ms.
motion.
Alderson, thank you. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Gottslich.
Thank you.
And we will require a presentation on the next one. (145) Belfield. Purpose is to permit a vehicle dealership. 2 variances. We have a Ministry of Transportation advisory, as this property is within their permit control area, but that's advisory only. And more importantly, we have community planning suggesting that we either defer this application or refuse it. We have Agent Addison Milne Pierce.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. If you could please present and I guess defend your project against the planning comment principally.
Actually, I would like to make the request to defer this application. My client recently informed me that we would like to defer. My apologies for not submitting a letter in advance, but we only met with planning staff yesterday on this issue, and it was recently
So the
decided.
deferral would be to continue your conversations with planning, presumably.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
All righty, and I don't believe we have, no one else in the room came to speak to this item, no one at home?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody have a question for Mr. Milne-Pierce? Pretty straightforward. So let's go into committee and decide on a deferral request.
So, go ahead.
So since actually community planning is seeking a deferral, and if not a refusal, I'm happy to defer this.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alderson. Seconder for the motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Dalton, thank you. All in favor? Item's been deferred. Thank you, Mr. Millen Pierce. Okay. So number 15 is 29 Parker Avenue. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. The dwelling will contain a total of 2 residential units. There are 8 variances. And on file, we have 2 support letters and a presentation. So I'm just going to presume, oh, and we also have an interested party from immediately next door, Mr. Jason Agnew from 31 Parker Avenue. So I think in light of that, we should invite Mr. Rotundo to make a presentation. Mr. Rotundo.
Yeah, good morning. Marco Rotundo, 610 Bowes Road, Vaughan, Ontario, agent for the application today.
Thank you. Would you like to present your proposal to us, please?
Yeah, for sure. So what we have here before the committee today is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single detached dwelling. There is a 1-car garage incorporated in that dwelling. And we've also proposed the inclusion of a secondary suite in the basement with its own separate entrance out towards the back. The variances before you today are quite minor. Most of them have to do with architectural features, predominantly on the side that is facing the street. This is a corner lot. So most of those variances are very, very minor with respect to just architectural projections for the style of home that's being proposed. There are some additional minor variances such as the length, which we're asking for 0.96 over the 17 meters, as well as a very slight rear deck and rear projection into the rear yard. So overall, very, very minor. We believe that due to the nature of this lot, which is a little bit tricky, it's a thinner lot on the street, and again, as I mentioned, it is a corner lot with a bit of an odd angle. It was a struggle to kind of get the adequate space to get a dwelling. But our goal here was always to maintain the side setbacks, mainly for the neighbor on our left-hand side, as well as the city allowances there to give us enough room to construct with shoring and all that is required. The existing residence that's currently on the property is very, very close to the property line at 31 Parker. I think it's right on the property line, if not maybe just a couple inches away. So we've actually significantly improved that condition to meet the 1.2 meter required setback. And we did that to help, increase the neighbors' comfortability here and make sure the construction goes smoothly. Finally, we did reach out to everyone in the neighborhood, including the immediate neighbors, with a package, full information package, encouraging them to reach out with any questions. Up to this point, so far, I've only received positive support for the application. So we feel that we've made every effort to kind of include everyone in what we're doing and what we're proposing here today. And so I think I'll leave it there. And if there are any questions from the committee, I'm happy to take them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rotundo. Panel, any questions or comments? Okay, so we have, I don't think there's anyone in the room to speak to this item, but we do have Mr. Jason Agnew, the immediate neighbor from 31 Parker Avenue, participating virtually. Mr. Agnew?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Yeah, I am the immediate neighbor. I'm the owner of the house right next door. I didn't receive that package, most likely because my tenants were there. So all I got was the letter from the city to my current dwelling, which is still in the neighborhood on Edgecroft.
Could you just state the address that you own next door?
I own 31 Parker Avenue, and my name is Jason Agnew.
Thank you.
And looking at the proposal, I'm slightly concerned about the dual occupancy within the area. All single occupancy homes, really no precedent for that. The current dwelling at 29 Parker, as mentioned by the builder, abuts my driveway. There is absolutely no space there, which means my driveway will ultimately be damaged when the build is done. Since the dwelling is being moved over, which I did see, that does have to be done because you're spinning the house to the other direction. I want to just ensure that shoring is put in place because my driveway will collapse. I also have a detached garage in the back. I don't know if this will also affect that. I'm concerned about that collapsing in. I also have a concern with my tenants being in the house. They have children. There's obviously safety concerns. And while this build is being done, because these houses are so close since they were built in the 50s with no room for air, I don't know if my tenants will be able to utilize the driveway to park because it is so narrow and you'll have to put a fence up. That is all.
Okay, is there anything else?
Those are my concerns.
Okay. Panel, any questions, comments from Mr. Agnew? Okay, then let's invite Mr. Rotundo back for a rebuttal.
Sure. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think most of those concerns are easily answered just with respect to some previous applications as well. We fully intend to follow all building protocol in the City of Toronto. That includes shoring wherever necessary, as well as other construction safety matters that need to be included. So with respect to kids or anything like that, or proximity to other dwellings, all of that will be taken into account, and we will ensure the safety and the proper building standards are in place. So that for sure is goes without saying. I think the last item was just respect to the secondary occupancy. We just feel that given today's climate, this is a nice way to seamlessly incorporate a secondary unit option. I think we can all agree that that is something we need to see more of. So given the soft nature of this proposal, I think it's a great way to just, add some additional housing should the owner choose to utilize it. And that is all.
Thank you. Panel, any questions, comments for Mr. Rotundo? Okay, if not, let's go into committee for discussion and motion.
So if there are no comments, I'd like to move a motion for approval, as I do believe the application meets the forest test, subject to the forestry conditions. And I'd just like to say, I like the design. Well done.
I was actually going to say that when I seconded your motion, because I have here great design in my notes. So I'm happy to second that motion because it is a great design. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion, it's been seconded, all in favor? That's unanimously approved. Thank you, Mr. Rotundo. Thank you, Mr. Agnew. Now moving on to item 16, I have to excuse myself due to an interest. So Ms. Alderson will chair item 16.
Are you handing me the gavel?
No, I don't have a gavel.
Okay. Really? My name is Laura Alderson, and I'm apparently the new chair, at least for this particular item. I'm going to do a review of what the application as submitted says. It's an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, a cabana, a swimming pool, and a covered deck in the rear yard. 3 variances. There was a tree site plan, there was a cover letter, an arborist report. I have an applicant presentation. Urban Forestry, though, has some concerns and would like number 3 denied. That is the variance for the driveway width. Or number 2 applied to this application. We have 4 form letters of support, and in the additional materials, there was an applicant response to the urban forestry comments regarding the sugar maple in the front yard.
And Ms. Chair, quickly, we did have a call-in user that was present. They have since come off the call and no longer are present.
Okay, and is the applicant online?
Yep.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. This is Alexander. Oh, good morning, I must say. This is Alexander Overholt from Contemplo Studio, located at 1140 the Queensway in Etobicoke, speaking for this application.
Could you just speak up a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Yes. Would you like me to repeat what I said?
No, we've got it.
Excellent.
So
because urban forestry wants, can you just touch on, I don't think we need a full presentation, but can you just touch on the sugar maple tree? That was the contentious issue, I think.
Absolutely. So we received that notice beginning of this week, and the moment we received that notice from Urban Forestry, myself jumped on the opportunity to discuss the application with the acting supervisor, High. There's some back and forth correspondence which has been documented and submitted to the AIC portal. I was able to get in touch with the acting planner for this application. His name is Octavian. We spoke yesterday about their concerns with the application. They do believe that the increased width of the driveway does encroach into the TPZ to a point where it does concern the livability of the tree. I did remind them that the opera's report that has been submitted indicates a very direct and certain construction methodology that has to occur for the driveway to ensure that the injury to the tree is tolerable. We then went on to speak that during the building permit phase, in order to obtain the appropriate certificate from Urban Forestry, we'd be happy to keep the design of the driveway, but focus on perhaps revising the construction methodology to ensure that the tree system, the root system for the trees are preserved to the best of the ability.
So that is your intention then, to save this tree if you can?
Yes, we can. The arborist believes we can. I told Urban Forestry that the additional width is required in order for cars to back out of the garage. The garage has the same width as the driveway. It was discussed that perhaps if we can just revisit the construction methodology but preserve the design, that Urban Forestry might be satisfied and they can issue the certificate during the building permit phase.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you please, Mr. Agent, can you please clarify why, if the driveway is the same width as the garage, why the driveway needs widening in the first place?
Oh, well, so we're visiting a two-car garage, right? And the garage has a width of, I believe it's, let's see the value here, 6.91 meters, right? So the driveway does need to facilitate that same width to ensure that the car pulls out properly. You can see that we actually try to stagger the width of the driveway more towards the front of the property line to ensure that we do try to preserve the tree as much as possible. But that maximum width that you can see here, where the highlighted text is, right, that depth is actually what's required for the car to pull out. And then once we maintain that depth, we try to taper it back towards more suitable width of the driveway.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So is there anyone else in the chambers that would like to speak to this matter? No, seeing no one? And there's no one online?
The person that we did have has dropped.
Has dropped off, okay. Well, I think we're going to take it into committee then for a vote. Is there anyone prepared to make a motion?
No? Okay, I will, if no one else will. With that, I do believe the application is minor and meets the 4 tests, so I move a motion for approval subject to forestry condition.
Do I have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that, Madam Chair, and I'll make a note that the agent has put on the record they'll make every effort possible to save the tree.
Excellent. All in favor? Thank you. Your motion is approved, or your application is approved, the motion. It was unanimous. Yes, it was.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson, for taking the chair. Moving on to item 17. '25 Wallasey Avenue. Purpose is to widen the existing driveway. One variance. A support petition, an opposition letter, a transportation review report, which advises consultation with urban forestry. However, urban forestry has not commented on this application, so I think we can ignore that advice. We have one opposition letter. Do we have anybody in the room or at home to speak to this item?
We do, Mr. Chair, one person in the room. Not on your list.
Okay, they're not on the list, but they want to speak to it. Okay, so, Mr. Palumbo, please give us, we know your name, give us your address.
38 Betty Nagle Street, Toronto, Ontario. I am the planner for this application. In my view, this is a fairly straightforward application. It's just to widen the existing driveway at the subject site. It's a very common characteristic for other dwellings on this particular street. And in this particular application, it's to facilitate additional on-site parking fully within the property limits, not on the city property, for a basement tenant that happens to own a car. So this will just make for easier access into and out of the property for this particular, the resident and the tenant. So instead of having tandem parking, it's more of a tapered design so that basically the basement tenant has better access. Yes, there is substantial support surrounding the immediate property. The opposition is from a street over. They're here today to speak to their objections. Obviously, they have the floor, but happy to answer any other questions to this application. And one thing I will say, I saw your transportation staff report. I see they have no objection, and was getting prepared to have dialogue or any correspondence with urban forestry, but I did not, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, I didn't see any comments come through, so I let it sit, and would have been happy to address if they did say anything.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Mr. Palumbo before we hear from whoever we're going to hear from?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. Morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Sam Pasquale at 54 La Villa. I received the notice and I'm in opposition. I don't believe that it meets the 4 tests. The first one, is it a minor variance? I say no. From 2.6 to 5.81, that's 2.23 times the width. Is the proposed desirable in the appropriate development? I'd say no. I've driven the area and I don't see any widening. I've driven La Villa. I've noted of one driveway width with one garage or parking space at 43 La Villa, 47, 49, 51, 53, 56, 58, 55, 57, 59, 65, 67, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, and 74. These are all one driveway width as required by zoning. On Wallasey, I've driven down in the neighborhood. I've looked at number 7, 17, 19, 23, 27, 31, 55, 45, 51, 57, 14, 16, 31, 36, 50, 56, and 58. These are all one with parking spaces, so it doesn't meet the second requirement. Is this the general intent of the zoning bylaw? I say no. We have bylaws for one car width. It's a required width, I believe, 2.6. If it's a double car garage, then I believe it's 6, if I'm not mistaken. And the fourth test is this the intent of the purpose of the official plan? I say no. I checked it out. I don't see any note that you can double up a width of a driveway for a single car space. This space that I see on the site plan, there's an existing 85.5-foot long driveway, which can fit 4 parking spaces, and one in the garage, that's 5 parking spaces that they can put in there. Putting 1 space for a tenant, I believe doesn't meet the intent. I know Toronto is doing plexus, so if there's 2 units, are we going to triple up to 18 meters? If there's 4 units, are we going to triple up to 24 meters? Is this going to be a city that's going to have all parking spots in front of the house? I hope not. The reason I'm here is I have a situation. My neighbor is 52. Lovila is putting 2 parking spaces in front of the house, and they're a committee for a 9-meter width. So I don't believe that. And also, there is parking allowed on the street. You're allowed to park there, except from 2 to 6 a.m. From December 1st to March 31st. So there's ample parking overnight. They can accommodate that. Also, the Toronto Municipal Code, Chapter 918, on residential in Toronto, parking directly in front of a house main front wall on residential property is generally not allowed. Now, generally not allowed. I understand that because I do architectural drawings. I have clients downtown, and the lots are 20 feet, and they have a driveway width. So sometimes they get a permit that's labeled onto their wall that they can park a little bit over the driveway, the mutual driveway, and on their property. So I don't believe that this is something that's suitable in the area, and I don't think this is going to set a dangerous precedent. Once you approve this, then somebody's going to want it, and somebody's going to want it, and they're going to test the envelope and put 2. In my neighborhood, as I drive, I noticed that street over, there's a big dump truck that's parked on the residential driveway right to the edge, and then a few streets over, I see a garbage bin truck that I think their owners park their trucks there, and whoever is in between that is going to block the view. So is this what we're going to do? We're going to put all this parking and block the views? My situation is I have a neighbor that's coming to community of adjustment for I don't know how long, but it's blocking my view. I have kids that, they'll be living there. They go on the street. A car comes around. They cannot see that because their 2 cars, my neighbor, is parked right on the edge. And I think this is going to set a dangerous precedence. And I'm hoping that you guys consider this. If I was to switch seats with each one of you.
Sir, you've run over time.
Okay, if I switch seats would you want me to approve this? Obviously, you don't want people blocking your view. Sorry for going over the time, but that's my concern. I believe it should be declined, and I think it's a dangerous precedence.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Sir, before you leave, could you give me your address? Where do you live?
54.
Lovila.
So across the street and...
No.
Behind. They are behind me. To the north of me, one resident over, so northeast. Just our 2 corners touch, basically. I think something like that. Yeah.
We'll put the location map
So
up.
your comments are like sort of potential impact of allowing this. The precedent seems to be a major concern.
Yes.
But this doesn't affect you personally. This doesn't affect your enjoyment of your property, correct?
Well, yes and no, because if you approve this, I have a neighbor that has 2 cars in front of it.
But that's the precedent argument.
I know, but like if you start doing this, everybody's going to be parking. What happens? Toronto allows 5-plexes. Are you going to be putting like rows of cars in front of the driveway? Is this what the streetscape is going to be? I'm driving down the street. I see cars and parked in front of the house. Is this something that we're going to go down the street Is this going to be
Okay, this
appealing?
is an opportunity for me to ask you questions, not for you to ask me questions.
Okay, I'm just
I
saying.
don't answer questions.
Yeah. Well, I got the notice. It impacts
I heard you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
You know?
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. I've just gone on Street View, and I've seen that there are many precedents on that street for one-car garages, number 35, number 41, number 43. They all have extra width to allow them to park 2 cars side by side. This particular driveway at 25 is very, very narrow, and there is no possible way for any cars to be there other than one. But there's already a precedent set on, and I'm not looking at the 2-car garages. I am looking at the single-car garages. There are many driveways on the street that are wide enough to park 2 vehicles side by side. So the precedent is already set.
Well, there's nothing in the committee that they got approved for. There's no application.
Sorry, sir, a comment was made, a question was
Okay,
not asked
okay,
of you.
okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was just going to note that how we will look at it, just for how I will look at it anyway, is there's one variance. They're not asking for a reduction in landscaping or anything like that. So there's no impact. But
Okay,
if there were
I disagree.
impacts, that's what we would have to look at.
Okay, Mr. Palumbo.
Wanted to take a few minutes, thank the deputant for his comments, and say a couple things. I'm actually going to get a little personal on this because I have a daughter that got hit by a car because of street parking, because that's what prevents people from seeing kids walking and running up and down across the driveway in the street. The deputant suggested, oh, street parking is available. That's not necessarily something this neighborhood would prefer, and I know that for a fact because St. Simon, the old St. Simon's Elementary School, which is now demolished, is directly across the street from the site. When they had the public meeting for that application, the residents showed up in numbers objecting to the idea of street parking being available in this neighborhood now because of the extra density that was being proposed on that site. I think that's just a side note, but I'm just responding to the comments I heard because I obviously take it a little more personally when I went through something like that because of something very specific. But other than that, again, this is just one, as Mr. Dalton said, there's no landscape reduction variance associated with this. There's clear existing precedent. It's just one variance to facilitate an additional parking space completely contained on site for a basement tenant, just for more convenient, easy access. The deputant's comments were very specific to an entire street over. That's one objection. The adjacent property owners to my client's property are in ample support. That's all I have to say today.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. Panel, any questions, comments for Mr. Palumbo? Are we ready to go into committee for a decision?
So with that, I'd like to move a motion for approval, as I believe the application does meet the 4 tests and there are no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for Mr.
And
Dalton?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? It's approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you and have a great afternoon.
You too. Moving on to item 18, 79 Beechwood Avenue. Purpose is to legalize and maintain the existing 2-story rear addition. There are 5 variances. This matter was deferred on April the 3rd this year to enable consultation with community planning and to obtain TRCA comments. I don't believe we have TRCA comments. No. We do have ravine and natural features protection clearance. We have 4 support letters, 1 opposition letter, and we have planning is okay. That was within our additional materials. I don't believe we have, there's no one in the room. We don't have anyone at home to speak to this one?
Just the agent only.
You're just the agent, yeah. Panel, are we satisfied that this is sufficiently straightforward to not require a presentation? Yes, agreed. Do you want a presentation, Ms. Alderson? No. Okay.
No, but
But I do have one question.
No, questions are always good.
One
So
question.
let's
Maybe we'll have the agent
invite
introduce
Mr.
himself, yeah.
Stickney.
Good morning. David Stickney. My address is 6773 1213 Side Road in Clearview, Ontario.
Thank you. So, Mr. Stickney, did you hear our conversation here in the panel? We don't believe we need a presentation. Your application is pretty straightforward. We do have a couple of questions. I know my colleague, Ms. Alderson, has at least one. Perhaps there are others, and I'm going to kick it off with mine, which is, this was deferred 3 months ago, I guess now, so that you could communicate with or consult with community planning. It appears you've done that. You've got a clearance letter from it. But it was also to arrange for communication from TRCA. And we still don't have that. Can you tell us what efforts you went to get a comment from TRCA?
Yes, indeed. The application was made and a permit was issued from TRCA for work to be done at the back for stabilization of bank and protection from access to the ravine and protection of planting at the back. That work has been done, and I submitted photos of the rear yard to show the finished railing and yard landscaping for TRCA conditions. Ravine has also submitted that they at least want the permit. They were consulted with the TRCA. The actual permit is tied to the building permit, I believe, in their condition, and we're happy with that. But we have met all of the standards and conditions that TRCA laid out for the property.
Okay, well, maybe that's why they didn't comment. Thank you. Ms. Alderson?
This application is to legalize and maintain the existing two-story rear addition. We can't see rear yards on street view, and I think I'm just making a comment that it would have behooved you to include a recent, I had to go into the materials from the last session to find photographs of the rear addition, but the yard was covered in snow, so it really doesn't apply right now. So I would have appreciated seeing some of the photographs, since you are here today to ask for the legalization of this existing two-story rear addition. That's my comment.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. Any other comments, questions? No?
Mr. Chair, the TRCA permit, it's in your package. It's also on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the bottom line? No objection, subject to a permit, or? Sorry, I can't read that.
It is the permit. Well,
It is the permit.
the cover letter for the permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're good with TRCA. Awesome.
Yeah, and we got an email in last night's material from Cameron Rose indicating that TRCA permit to address CP concerns.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, ready to go into committee and make a decision?
And the individual who wrote the letter of opposition is not speaking to that.
So with that, I'd like to move a motion for approval. I do believe the application meets the 4 tests, and there are no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for Mr. Dalton's motion?
I can second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Stickney. Final item on this morning's agenda, number 1944 Willow Ridge Road, brackets 30 Earldown Drive. Purpose is to permit a children's play area and an outdoor storage shed in the front yard of the child care center. There are 4 variances. We have an urban forestry condition 2. This matter was deferred on May 1st to enable an opportunity to consult with urban forestry, so it looks like that's been done. We have an MTO, Ministry of Transportation Advisory. Again, that's a different regulatory regime, but an advisory that this property is within their permit control area. We don't have any other comments from agencies. I don't believe we have anyone at home that wishes to speak to this item. Adam?
There is one late addition not on your list.
Somebody does want to speak to this?
Correct.
Okay. So the agent is Mr. Horber, Alex Horber.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, Mr.
Hi,
Horber,
how are
if
you?
you could just give us your name and address and make a brief presentation, I think particularly in light of the fact that somebody is going to be speaking about this. I don't know if there's in support or opposition, but if you could just give us a presentation, it'd be helpful.
My name is Alex Horber. I'm with Bortle Auto Architect, and we are the agents for the City of Toronto Children's Services, which is the owner of the operator of the childcare. So the design of the childcare essentially is to allow for an infant play area at the front of the building where there was a room not being used in the childcare center, and so that will be converted to an infant room for 10 spaces. The facility currently has children, preschoolers and toddlers in the back, and the rest of the site is entirely developed. So essentially, in a push to increase childcare spaces in the neighborhood and the city as a whole, this small portion of the front yard is the only remaining space left on site. So the variances had to do with the fact that the play area is there, and there was also some issues with urban forestry regarding proximity to the 2 trees, the size of a small shed to store toys and things in the front, and as well the type of surfacing on the ground. So in the meantime, since our deferral, we've gone back to urban forestry. We've reduced the size of the shed and then changed the design of the play area somewhat to make everything more permeable and to pull back from the trees, just to satisfy that. And it's our understanding from the documentation that they have no further requirements other than simply doing a tree injury permit for a private tree. So overall, the intent of the proposal is to allow these extra 10 spaces of much needed childcare. I understand there was some opposition with regards to having people in the front of the center and perhaps some disruption to the neighborhood. So it is the infant room that would have direct access to the front. So per the requirements of the childcare, the infants will be out only for about an hour in the morning and the afternoon. The total complement will be 10. It's likely that they would not all be out at the same time because obviously some of them are on different schedules, some of them may be sleeping. So it's our view that for the sort of general benefit of the neighborhood and the city at large, you would have the equivalent of maybe 6 to 8 people out front for a short time during the day. So that is, I guess, the general description of the proposal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Horber. Panel, any questions or comments? Mr. Dalton?
Yes, so when you say infants, what age group is that then?
Oh, this is up to 18 months.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, no, my mistake, 18 months to 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So,
Thank you.
Anything else, panel?
And I have a question of maybe, I guess, staff. I've got 2 contradictory notes here. Is it urban forestry number 2? But I've also got a memo that says no conditions.
think those are different dates, yeah.
Different dates, July 3rd
Yes.
rules.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
So-
I didn't check the date.
Most current?
Yeah, and the
No
one that
conditions.
says no conditions is from Ravine,
Yeah.
but there are still conditions from urban forestry.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Condition number 2, yeah.
So Adam, we have someone online that wishes to participate?
We do, Mr. Chair, yes. Michael Kulakchik. Michael, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Michael Kultuski, 532nd Street, Etobicoke, Ontario, MHW3G3. Just a quick correction. The infant age is 0 to 18 months. Toddler begins at 18 to 36 months. I know I only have 5 minutes to speak to this. I'd actually like to speak in favor. I can prepare this statement for the stenographer. I'm going to try and go really quickly.
Sorry,
So,
what was your address again?
532nd Street, Etobicoke, Ontario, M8W3G3.
Where is that in relation to this property?
Just really quickly. So I'm like my kids attended.
Sorry, where is that in
the day-
relation to this property?
It's in South Etobicoke. My kids attended the daycare facility. I'd like to speak in favor.
I think that's all we need to know, that they speak in favor. They're there to support it.
Okay, thank you.
He doesn't need to read a statement.
No, he doesn't. So let's go into committee and make a decision.
Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
Mr. Chair.
Are we in committee? Yeah, okay. So then I'd like to move a motion for approval, as I believe the application meets the 4 tests, subject to forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
Ms. Pavlik, thank you. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Horber. That ends this morning's agenda. Officially, we reconvene at 1 p.m. Is that sufficient time for calling out? And
Or 1:15.
That's no, 1 o'clock's great, Mr. Chair. We'll start our microphone check at 12:45.
one of my colleagues would prefer 1:15. Is that possible?
So they get it for our lunch before their
I'm not in charge.
Yeah, they should have
1:15 is fine.
their hour lunch. Okay, you could start
Okay.
calling at 12 at 1 o'clock.
I think it was a yes. I think it was
Is that okay, Ms. Bartosik?
Okay.
1:15.
So we'll start the afternoon session at 1:15 with microphone checks beginning at 1. Thank you.
See you soon. Turn your cameras off, please.